Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to go through NRL round 4 and all the players I have shortlisted as the most likely try scorers in each of the 8 games coming up this weekend, using statistics and trends to break down those reasons why. So not only am I going to go through which players I think, I'm going to explain why I think those players are most likely to score a try. So the first game on Thursday night, the Rabbitohs versus Penrith. Penrith, pretty big favourites for this game, expected to win, but obviously playing without Nathan Cleary. There's one side of the field that you ideally want to target for the Rabbitohs first of all. And when you're looking at the try scorer matchups here, what we're effectively looking at is, firstly, for the Rabbitohs, this column here shows where they score their tries and where that ranks overall in terms of the league. If they rank third, that means they score the third most tries through that position or those positions in the league. If they rank 15th, it means they scored the third least number of tries through that position or that side overall in the league. And then all you have to do is compare it to the opponent tries against, which this column here shows us where the Panthers concede their tries. If they're ranked number 1 in this category, they concede the least number of tries and therefore already highlighted green. If they're ranked high, like 15th, they concede the third most tries through that position, and therefore it's a good matchup for that side that they could potentially take advantage of. So effectively, we're looking for high rankings in this column and low rankings in this column to identify a good matchup. And then we want to compare that to who's playing that position, what their personal form has been like, and if there are any ins or outs for either side that could contribute to being a better or not so good matchup. For the Rabbitohs, the side you want to target is on the left-hand side. Alex Johnston comes back into the side on that left wing. This is where the Panthers have been conceding tries. I've spoken about in previous videos, the Panthers are currently conceding 30 points a game, coming off big scores against Storm and Roosters over the past 2 weeks, and the Sharks did score 22 against them in the opening game. But a lot of those points, as we can see, coming through the left edge. This side of the field was also a weakness for them last season. You want to add that to it as well. Alex Johnston to score a try would be the first player I would highlight on the Rabbitohs side of things. Against the Panthers, he scored 3 tries across his past 3 games against them, and at least 1 try in 2 of the past 3, but didn't score in the most recent matchup when he played them. And then also on that left side, you have Jack Whiten playing left center. He's definitely not the worst bet at around the $3.75 mark. You could potentially have something small on him. What I recommend you do with your try scorer bets is back each player. So when you know these are all the players that you're going to back them all to win the same amount. So that'll account for players that are at shorter odds and players that are at longer odds. So therefore, it's not dependent on players that are at longer odds scoring for you to be profitable. But for Jack Whiten, he scored a try in the game last week against the Sharks, but hasn't scored in the past 4 against the Panthers. But I think if the Rabbitohs are pushing a lot of their play towards that left-hand side, he should get opportunities. On the Panthers side of things, the one area ideally you want to target is the right wing. So far this season, the Panthers have switched their wings and centers around a little bit. Brian To'o was originally on the right wing. Last week, he played on the left wing. Paul Alamotti is currently listed to be playing on the right wing, and he has scored in all 3 games so far this season with 4 tries total. The Rabbitohs left edge is defending a lot better this season, and even though Panthers have been scoring plenty of points, it's been on both sides of the field, so they haven't necessarily been favoring one side. Both wingers have scored in all 3 games so far. For the Panthers, you can play either winger, but the way the Rabbitohs have been defending, I'd be leaning slightly more towards Alamotti to score a try. And as I said, he's scored in both tries. Hasn't scored yet in his career against the Rabbitohs, but potentially that could change on Thursday night. Next game, the Roosters versus Titans. There are quite a few players I've shortlisted in this game. Firstly, for the Roosters, at fullback, James Tedesco gets a really good opportunity here against the Titans. So far this season, the Titans ranked 13th to opponent fullbacks. Last year, they ranked 17th and were the worst side at defending fullbacks and conceded the most tries to that position. They have conceded a try in 4 of the past 5 games to opponent fullbacks. And also, without Keeney in the lineup, they're playing Jalen DeGroot as backup or as fullback this week. And so it's a very good matchup for Tedesco to use his experience and give the Roosters an edge through this position and get more involved in the play. He has also a very good record against the Titans. He has scored 6 tries across the past 4 games against them, including a try in each of the past 4 games. So if he definitely gets more involved in the play, which hasn't been as much in recent times, then it's a great opportunity for him. And you also have that success against the Titans backing that. Also for the Roosters, I would look closely at Crichton to score a try. He's coming off 3 tries in his last game against the Titans, and it's also a good matchup. Titans see the second most tries to opponents' second rowers so far this season. Roosters haven't been scoring through those positions. They've mostly been scoring out through the edges, and also a couple of tries through the middle with White crossing last week. It's not a bad option for their front rowers in White and Lenu, but they're not like prolific try scorers that you could rely on, but at bigger odds, you could potentially have small plays on them. It's kind of a few ways you can go in terms of front row and second row, but Tedesco at fullback's probably the most likely option for the Roosters. And then over on the Titans side of things, there's no Camperera on the left wing this week, and considering what the Roosters defense, which these numbers here show us, has been on that right-hand side, I think the Titans should push a lot of their play that way. Jojo Javita playing on the right wing. So far, the Roosters have conceded 4 tries across the 3 games to the opponent right winger, and he should get plenty of opportunities to score a try in this game. So far this season, he's scored in both games, yet to score in the 2 games he's played against the Roosters. Similar to Alamotti for the Panthers, that could definitely change, especially if the Titans do target that right edge, which what we've seen from the Roosters so far, the smart thing for them to do would be to do that. Dolphins versus Broncos. Not a huge number of players I want to look at in this game. For the Dolphins, I'm not keen to back any try scorers for them until their attack sorts out. Any team that plays very haphazard attack, relies on tries from kicks, or is just in a bit of broken play, they're able to muster a try. Those type of teams I just avoid backing try scorers in. For the Broncos though, on the right wing, it's a very, very good situation for Selwyn Cobbo to score a try. Broncos ranked 2nd through this position so far this year. Dolphins have conceded the 2nd most tries to the opponent right wingers, and they've conceded 5 tries so far this season, and at least 1 in each game. And in the past 2 games, they've conceded 2 tries in each of those 2 games to the opponent right winger. Selwyn Cobbo has a very good record also against the Dolphins. He scored 6 tries across 4 games against them. Didn't score in the matchup late last season where the Broncos had already clocked off by that point of the year. I think it was round 26 that game where they were blown out 40 points to 6, but they're big favourites for this game. Dolphins have been terrible so far. There's a chance Broncos run up a score here, and especially when you add in Tony Staggs back into the side at right centre, I'd expect the Broncos to push a lot of their play towards their right side with that combination of Staggs and Cobbo. And considering this is where the Dolphins are worse defensively, it kind of all makes sense for the Broncos to play that way and take advantage of it. It's an important game for them, trying to go 3-1 overall in the season. It's definitely not a game they'd want to drop and go to 2-2. And for them to have the best chance of success at winning, they need to target that right side. This also area was a weakness for the Dolphins last season, so it's a very, very good situation for Cobbo to score. He's paying $1.60. Was the best odds I could see at this stage. So far this season, like the one obviously caveat or concern to this is that Jesse Arthurs on the left wing has also been scoring plenty of tries so far for the Broncos this season. However, it's not like the greatest matchup for him, and considering Cobbo is longer odds than Arthurs to score a try, that's the way I'd definitely rather be going. So that's how I'm looking at approaching the Dolphins-Broncos game. Dragons versus Storm. I got quite a few players shortlisted in this matchup. So firstly for the Dragons, one thing I want to highlight is through the left wing, they're ranked number 1, and through the right wing, they're ranked number 4, which combines them to be the number 1 side at scoring tries through the wingers. And against the Melbourne Storm, who concede the 16th most tries through the wingers, the 2nd most overall in the league. And what we've seen from the Storm in their 2 games so far, pretty much all the tries come out near the edges. They don't give up tries through the middle, no tries to the halves, front row, second row, or interchange players, which are mostly props and second rowers, and it's pretty much just the edges. So this bodes really well for the Dragons wingers to get opportunities to score. So on the right wing, you have Terrell Sloan. The Storm have conceded 3 tries so far to the right wing, 1 in their first game against the Eels, and then 2 in their second game of the season, which was against Penrith. And Terrell Sloan, he's only played the 1 game so far this season where he scored 2 tries, which was against the Rabbitohs, and he has scored a try in both games against the Melbourne Storm throughout his career. He's paying $2.40 to score a try. Then on the left wing, you have Christian Tuipulotu, who so far this season has scored a total of 4 tries, hat-trick in his opening game against the Bulldogs, and then 1 try in the round 2 game against the Rabbitohs. Across his past 5 games against the Storm, he scored 3 tries. Hasn't scored in the past 2, but did score in each of the 3 games prior. I think he'll get plenty of opportunities as well being out on that left wing. This is, if Dragons are going to win this game, one of these 2 players is going to have to score, if not both of them. And left wing for the Storm hasn't been as bad as it was last year, but it's still up there as an issue for them defensively. The way you can play this is just pick either of the 2 in Sloan or Tuipulotu, or back them both half a stake each. They're paying $2.40 and $2.15 respectively. Also for the Dragons, you could look at Valentine Holmes at the right center. He's yet to score for the Dragons for his new side, but he has scored in his past 2 games against the Storm, playing for North Queensland. And also, so far this season, the Storm are conceding the most tries through the opponent left center. So it's definitely a good opportunity for Valentine Holmes. On the Storm side of things, the one key area that definitely stands out is at fullback here. So Ryan Papenhuyzen, the opponent fullback, has scored in both games versus the Dragons so far this season, and 4 of the past 5 if you go back through last year. And without Jerome Hughes in the lineup for the Storm this week, Papenhuyzen should definitely be much more involved in the play. Against the Dragons, he didn't score in their last game, but scored a double in the game prior to that. So he definitely has a solid enough record against them, and it's well and truly a good situation. At $1.87 though, I do think it's a little bit short. I think for Papenhuyzen, you need more so the 205, 210 to be really confident in getting value. I just think it's a touch unders at the moment. But those will be the 3 main players that I would highlight as the most likely try scorers. You could also look to, in the front row for the Storm, the key player here would be Harry Grant. He scored 2 tries versus the Dragons last time he played them. But once again, at 285, I just think is a touch unders. Was expecting more so the 320 to 340 mark for him to score a try. Somewhere in that mid-3s range for there to be a touch more value. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he crashed over from dummy half, or also backing up and getting an offload in that 20-meter red zone. So that's my thoughts on the Dragons Storm game. Cowboys versus Raiders. No, similar to the Dolphins, not touching any try scorers for the Cowboys, even though the Raiders are coming off a 40-point score last week against Manly. But the Cowboys is very disjointed in attacks. I'm just not going to get involved with them. For Canberra, the one key area I feel like you could be confident backing is on the right wing in Xavier Savage. North Queensland have conceded a try against Manly to the right winger, 2 versus the Sharks, none last week against the Broncos. He should definitely get opportunities to score. He's scored a try in 7 of his past 10 games overall, and against the Cowboys, scored in 1 of his past 2 games against them. Is definitely a very, very prolific try scorer for the Raiders. The right winger against the Cowboys, 11th most tries so far this season, so it's definitely a good opportunity for him. The other player to target with Savage, he's paying $1.87 currently. The one other area that's good to target, I think, for the Raiders is at the left center, Sebastian Kris. He scored in his last game against North Queensland. He scored 3 tries in 2 games so far this season, so in very good try scoring form, and should get opportunities out on that left edge against this Cowboys defense, and it's a good situation so far with what we've seen of them so far this season. And then the one other one you could also look at for the Raiders is in the second row. This is where the Cowboys concede the most tries to opponents' second rowers in the league. The 2 players who have contributed to these tries so far for the Raiders have been Hudson Young, who got a late try last week in the game against Manly, and then Matty Nicholson, who scored a double against the Broncos in the week prior. So either of those two players you could take. There's also those markets where you can back either player to score tries. You can combine both of them, and if either one of them crosses, I personally lean slightly towards Hudson Young if I had to choose between the two, or you could also half stake both. There's a number of ways you play it. Just make sure you're getting the best possible odds with your selections. But there's 4 players there for the Raiders that I'm looking at as potential try scorer bets. If you want to see everything I'm betting and be able to use all these tools for yourself, everything I use is in the NRL Bets membership with these bet finders and all the research tools I use for NRL betting. That's also where I post everything I'm personally betting as well. The Sharks versus Bulldogs, just the one player on target here in this game across both sides. Not keen to back anyone on the Bulldogs this week, but for the Sharks, left wing is the place you want to go. So that's Ronaldo Malo. Bulldogs have conceded 6 tries so far this season to the opponent left winger. 3 tries in their opening game, 2 in their second game, and then 1 last week against the Eels. So Tuipulotu scored the hat-trick for the Dragons in that first game, and then against Gold Coast, Camperera scored a double. Really good situation here for Mulatalo. They've only, for the Bulldogs, 6 tries to the opponent left wing, only 1 to the right wing. So that left side is the way you want to go for the Sharks this week. And the Bulldogs have only conceded 10 tries overall this season, and 6 of those have come to the left winger. For Mulatalo, he's paying $1.77, which I think is definitely a reasonable price considering the setup here. He scored a try in 2 of his past 3 against the Bulldogs as well. So does have a good record against them, and would definitely be surprised if he doesn't score a try in this game, or at least get plenty of opportunities to go over in the corner. Last week, the Sharks were definitely attacking that side of the field a fair bit more compared to their right edge, and I think that'll continue again this week. Manly, they're the biggest favourites of the round when they take on the Eels. Manly expected to roll on the score, similar to what they've done in both their home games so far this season. There are 3 players for Manly that are all very good betting options this week. First thing you'll notice when you look at this, all Manly's attack this year is going towards their right-hand side. So that's Jason Saab and Ruben Garrick's side of the field, and hardly anything going out towards Lehigh Hopewell. Add to that the fact that the Eels can't defend right wingers and right centers. These are the areas you want to target, and with Tom Trbojevic coming back into the lineup, you could also add him into the frame. Firstly, at fullback with Trbojevic, he's paying $1.65, which I think is a little bit short. For him to score a try, $1.75 probably would definitely be a bet. The Eels have conceded 2 tries in round 1, but haven't conceded a try to the fullback in the past 2 games. But Trbojevic has a very good record against the Eels. He scored 4 tries in the past 3 games against them, 1 try or more in each of those games. If you go back further, he scored in 5 of his past 6 games against Parramatta. The Eels give up a lot of line breaks, which they didn't last week as much as they did in their first 2 games. Trbojevic is always that player there backing up and running in an easy try when he gets the offload to beat the opponent fullback. And wouldn't surprise me at all if he scores a try or a double in this game. On the right wing, you have Jason Saab. The right winger has scored in all 3 games against the Eels so far this season. 1 try in their first game against Melbourne, 3 tries when Truva scored a hat-trick against them when they played the Tigers, and then 1 try last week against the Bulldogs. If you go back even further, the right winger has scored in 12 of the past 13 games against the Eels. Really, really good situation for Jason Saab, and everything of what we've seen so far, the Seagulls are going to be pushing towards that right edge of the field, and there'll be plenty of opportunities. And also, the third player you could potentially target is Ruben Garrick at that right centre. He did score 4 tries last week, so his odds this week are definitely brought down slightly, especially in the fact they're playing the Eels. The right centre against the Eels has scored in 2 of 3 games so far this season. They're ranked 15th overall. Last year they were ranked 17th. So this area has been a long-term issue for them, and wouldn't be surprised at all if all 3 of these players score, if not at least 2 of the 3. I think there's definitely strong bets there in that game for the Seagulls. No plays for the Eels in terms of try scorers. And then for the Tigers-Warriors game, there's a couple of players I want to highlight in this one for each side. Firstly, this should be a very good contested game. Where these sides are at this season is very even of what we've seen so far. Tigers, all their attack is going towards their right edge and that wing of Sania Taruva. He's scored 5 tries across his past 2 games. And the Tigers' right edge has scored 6 tries compared to just 2 tries on their left edge. So that's their right center, right winger combined compared to the left center, left winger combined. And for the Warriors, they've conceded 3 tries to the right winger and none to the left winger. Everything makes sense for the Tigers to keep on going with what's been working for them, giving Taruva those chances to finish in the corner. And the Warriors haven't been able to stop it so far, especially with Roger Tuivasa-Sheck out this week. That's even more of a reason he plays on the left wing for the Warriors. They're calling in a replacement there, and that'll make an even easier situation for Taruva to score. So at $1.83, I definitely like him to score a try in this game and keep his run of form going. I'll just quickly let you know, with Taruva against the Warriors, he didn't score in his last game. Obviously, these are with the Panthers, but scored 2 tries in the finals back in the season prior to that. And for the Warriors, one area that does look a pretty good opportunity is in the halves here. So far this season, the Warriors ranked number 1 in the halves in terms of tries, with those coming through Chanel Harris-Tavita and Luke Metcalf. Metcalf is the player I want to target, though, for this game. Not only have the Tigers conceded the 11th most tries to halves so far this season, they ranked last to this position last year as well. And Tigers have conceded a try in 2 of 3 games so far this season. And for Metcalf to score a try, he's paying $4.30, which I think is a very reasonable price. And he has scored 3 tries across his 2 games against the Tigers. So not only is it a good situation for him, he has a very good record. So out of all the players at bigger odds, and that $3 and above, he's probably the one that stands out with the most value in my opinion. So those are all the players I have shortlisted for the games this weekend. Hopefully this video was helpful in your try score research before putting your bets on. If you want more videos like this, definitely take a look at the NRL Best Bets. That's where you get additional previews of me going through my bets and why I'm making those bets, plus access to pretty much every research tool you could possibly need to make money betting on the NRL. Everything you're seeing here is just like the tip of the iceberg of what's included, where you can break down teams' performances from a statistical perspective, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and look to take advantage of that through the bets. Because right now, if you're betting on your gut feeling or just what you've seen of these teams do, that's good, but it's only part of the picture that'll help you make sure that where you're investing your money and where you're putting your bets on is the best possible place every time. And that's what the bet finders are designed to help you do. I wouldn't have been able to bet full time for the past 12 years without having these statistical tools, because you're just missing out on so much information. Like when we look at American sports, there's so much information readily available for us to look at and analyze and decide what we want to do based on that. But for NRL especially, that information is nearly non-existent. So that's why about 10 years ago, I started creating spreadsheets and analytical tools that allow me to keep track of teams' performances beyond just what I've seen them do through watching the games. We can actually start to see how they're playing, what's working, what's not working, and then make our betting decisions based off that. And that's what allows us to be profitable. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. Good luck with your bets. And stay tuned for more NRL betting previews throughout the season on this channel.